Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to Sex for the Soul. My name is James Crook, and I'll be taking you. I'll be the host for this journey through the pathos of the universe. The point of this podcast is basically the belief that we as humans can experience so many wonderful things that aren't physical but feel as good as sex for our souls. And whether that be laughter, a wise conversation with someone, an insightful comment through the course of the day-to-day basis, Good evening. This is the first podcast of hopefully many streams. Welcome to Sex in the Soul. My name is James Crook. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. The point of this podcast, the reason why I'm here in this moment, and I will be continuing to guide us all on this journey, is to experience to the fullest of my ability the joys of life that aren't physical sensations. The feeling of laughing with another human, or just laughing with yourself, of having a wise, insightful conversation with someone, finding out, getting to the core of a contentious issue about politics or religion or even sports or anything through respectful discourse with other people. I will be having on tons of a full range of people from all over every spectrum: religion, politics, comedy, sports, entertainment, business, student activists, professors, mayor candidates, athletes, everything, anything that I believe can help someone, that can help bring a unique, interesting piece of knowledge to both myself and to you, the viewers and listeners. I'm going to be going on this journey with my eyes and ears wide open, with my soul bared, and I want to create a safe space for people to be able to communicate respectfully, to create a positive discourse that does not exclude anyone, that allows even distasteful, troubling thoughts. I want that to be brought here and to be worked out and to be talked to, because the first step into changing someone's opinion or to expanding someone's mind is by listening to them and hearing what they have to say. And that will be my greatest challenge, is both finding these amazing people. That'll be easy, but then getting to the bottom of all their fantastic views and knowledge, and bringing that knowledge to us as a people. The Sex for the Soul, the actual phrase, the name of this podcast, of this stream, comes from a phrase that I created because I had never heard it from anyone else. That laughter is sex for the soul, because I personally believe that laughter genuinely is one of the best feelings in the world. It feels like sex. You cannot control your laughter. You express yourself. Your soul is expressing such a genuine meaning of joy, and through that medium, I want to expand that into these conversations with people, and into these different various forms of communication that bring people together, and expand all of our collective consciousness to help change the world, because the world's a scary place right now. There's a lot of really terrible things going on. There's a lot of issues in the world that we don't really have the means or the ability or the place to talk about these things without feeling judged or nervous that we're going to say something wrong and people won't like us for it, or will reject us, or reject our feelings. And I don't want to reject any of those. I want to bring together everyone to have a safe, honest conversation that will touch on any given subject, and I'm very excited to do so. And tonight's subject is going to be about college, the discourse, the lack of discourse in our college education system, and how that has helped create a society where we don't listen to each other. We don't give each other the respect of allowing someone else to have a different opinion, and particularly at the college level, the liberal leftward-leaning campuses and professors that promote this groupthink is very dangerous. And I've got a buddy here of mine named Aaron. He's a college student himself here in Santa Barbara. He goes to City College.
Hey man, how's it going?
What's up, buddy?
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, my man.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is Aaron. I'll let him kind of introduce himself. And
hey, what's up, YouTube? My name's Aaron Massell. I'm just helping James produce the podcast a little bit, kind of, share a little bit of my opinion as well as time goes on. So, there's a lot of issues that are going to be covered through the podcast, and I'm just excited to see it all come together. So right on, brother. That's what's up,
man. It's going to be fantastic. All right, so just to kind of start off again about what this discourse is, the lack of discourse that I'm talking about. Many of you will have heard of the Cal Berkeley of riots that have occurred because conservative speakers, I won't even say far right, just conservative speakers have been invited to campus, like Milo Yiannopoulos and
they've just been run off,
and Ann Coulter, and yeah, they've been run off. People, they've used students at Cal Berkeley, not even students. I'm sure there's a lot of anarchists and hardcore lefties that aren't students. I don't want to just brand Cal Berkeley student base as these extremists. But at their campus, they have allowed, the faculty has allowed, the president of the university, the dean of the university have all allowed an environment where the
hostility towards
towards the others.
Right.
It's tribalism at its most dangerous, because if you look at what a college is supposed to do, a college is supposed to expand our minds. It's a place where we send our children, where we as young people go to grow.
It's not somewhere where hate and even bigotry towards anybody, whether anybody's opinion, it should be valued.
Yes.
An opinion, whether it's right or wrong, it should be valued until proven otherwise. First off, and second off, these opinions that these people have, they can't be proved right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like, liberals are going to be liberals, and that's it. You know what I mean? And they're going to have that opinion. And they need to respect other opinions as well.
And that's the thing. And that, and I agree with you. And there's one point though about people are you can't really prove them right or wrong. That's the point of college, is to at least discuss these things. And you might be proven wrong, you might be proven right, or you might agree to disagree. But the whole point is to push forward in a respectful discourse and a respectful nature, listening to one another. And okay, hey, you may be conservative, you may be voted for Donald Trump, but now I don't hate you for that. Or you voted for Hillary Clinton, and I don't hate you for that. Right. Oh, you did this, that, or the other thing.
Or even judge. Not even
judge,
hate,
exactly. It's just basic judgments.
Right.
That's what college is for. Universities are meant for us to expand our minds, to
express
grow.
Ourselves.
Exactly,
as well.
And exactly, to feel for the first time.
And feel comfortable to express ourselves. Because what if somebody has a certain opinion and they just are holding it in because they're being so judged and, put down just for their opinion, that's that's complete bullshit.
And it's ironic because one of the main reasons that this entire debate has occurred and that it's come to the forefront is that liberal, and I'm sorry to the far left, or to the liberals, but this is just the fact of it. The fact, like there are very far right conservative campuses, but there's just not even close to the amount of the leftward leaning. I won't even say socialist, but just leftward-leaning ideologies that have permeated the college campus through the professors since the 60s and 70s, and maybe even beforehand. But the academic process has become something where, in the pursuit of rooting out evil and hatred and trying to come to a better understanding, come to a more peaceful state in our society,
they kind of fuel
they created a bubble that is just as dangerous as anything on the far right could bring. And the fact that we're even talking in these spectrums, like far left, far right, this, alt right, that, all these names are just meant to divide. We don't talk about ideas or us as a group. We don't look at it as you're just another human. It's you're a Republican, you're a far left liberal, you're a black person, you're a Chinese person, you're a Buddhist, a Christian.
Being thrown on everything.
Exactly, everything is a group.
The human race.
Oh, you're a felon. Exactly, that's the thing. And all these things have been put into these boxes is basically divide and conquer, and we don't even realize it. And it's because of our lack of ability to discuss these really tough subjects and these really hard issues that we've lost the ability to truly grow and expand our minds and to walk in someone else's shoes. And this is what the subject of tonight's podcast will be about. And I'm just excited. I'm just so excited to have Aaron here. This is going to be great. This is really the beginning of everything. And so now we're a little bit in. You've kind of we got introduced. So what we're going to talk about is, because we're talking about college discourse and the lack of it and everything. Let there be light. We're going to talk about safe spaces, because I've even said in my opening about how I want to create a safe space, but I defined my safe space far differently than what the safe spaces on a college campus are. A safe space is defined by the liberal left is basically anything that is viewed as truly conservative, as racist, sexist, xenophobic, anything that could potentially anything could potentially hurt a label,
right,
or could offend somebody, is considered how do I say it, off limits, completely off limits from discourse and conversation. A safe space is so that someone can feel like, okay, I can come here and there's no racism, there's no sexism.
There's this establishment of what's politically correct.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I understand completely. You can't just be shouting, like bigotous words, on public television or anything, But the people who are expressing themselves, they really are throwing labels on it. You know what I mean? It's caused a big, distrust between a lot of human beings in our country.
And I think Donald Trump was a direct response to that, because he's about the most politically incorrect human you can imagine, besides actual, I don't even want to say it. He is a Twitterer in chief. He's a Twitter troll. He's an online online reality TV star that literally became our president. And anyone that just blames the people that voted for him are completely missing the point. Because he is a result of both our political system being broken, our entertainment and media being distrusted for a long list of very valid reasons, and our education system continually and habitually failing our kids and sending out people that don't know how to think critically, who aren't ready for the world, who aren't able to change in a changing economy and get good paying jobs.
I feel like, the president was elected because we have a broken country.
Yeah.
We had absolutely nobody to look to. You know what I mean? I mean, Hillary Clinton, it's one of the most untrusted politicians,
Distrusted, absolutely.
Yeah, just completely distrusted, like, in the past 2 decades, you know what I mean? Probably one of the most infamous, distrusted politicians out there, you know what I mean? And then we had Donald Trump. Of course, but nobody really knew how it would turn out. He shot a bunch of promises to a lot of people, and even whether he's followed through with some and hasn't followed through with any at all, he's definitely not handling the way that he portrayed himself to handle it. And it's kind of like you can see his businessman self come out, you know what I mean? That first impression, that first, he understands the importance of that. And he really understands how to communicate. You got to give the guy some interesting communication skills. He knows how to get people's attention. You know what I mean?
That's true.
He really, he picks people, he picks my fucking brain. Just...
Oh, man. We looked at his Twitter account last night. He
hilarious.
Is losing his mind. He went on another rampage. He put out 6 tweets today about
But he's still, all of his tweets are still like, it's kind of psychologically worrying. He's stuck in a loop of the election. He hasn't even came out of that mindset. Every single post is still, negative towards Barack Obama, negative towards Hillary Clinton, negative towards the Democratic Party, negative towards the media, fake news, all this stuff, you know what I mean? Which is cool, but come on, man, there's fucking issues in our country right now.
Yes,
there's a lot of
massive
issues. And I know that maybe, a person might feel, if I was the fucking president of the United States, I don't know, I'd probably snap under pressure. That's really...
Well, it's the toughest job in the world.
It's the toughest job in the world, literally. But I wouldn't be tweeting about the election right now. I'm just saying, if I was the president of the United States, the election, I already won. That's the past. You know what I mean? For real.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely real. No, that's great points. And it's fascinating that we have this president who is a narcissist, who's a sociopath, who's an egomaniac, all these negative things, and yet he won. How did he win?
there's been several candidates throughout the history of the United States that are what the fuck kind of candidates.
Absolutely, but no, that's the thing though. And what really is the modern day with the tweeting, with the loss of prestige that America has had, not just even before Donald Trump, since George Bush really, but we as a country, as you put it, we're broken on a lot of different levels.
We still are broken.
And instead of healing, we have grown more and more divided. And I do have issues with Barack Obama because of that. He was a extremely well-spoken, calm, thoughtful, insightful, black American man that was our first black president, spoke as well as anyone that I've ever heard, and unfortunately, due in large parts to the Republicans, but also in his own failings, created a country that is even more divided,
True.
that is more tribalistic, that is more partisan, and now we have a president that... And the reason why I'm talking about this in relation to all the college thing, it's so hard to avoid Trump. It's literally the Trump in the room, and he being as politically incorrect as he is communicating like a fourth grader, like he typically does, as writing the troll tweets.
Literally, his lingo his vocabulary is on a kindergarten level.
Yeah.
A kindergartner can understand what he was saying. Yeah. And I mean, he just will go on these four-word little rant and then end it with like a word like tremendous or something like that. It's
gonna be great. Make
be
America
huge.
great again. All caps.
Exclamation
all caps. Point. Exclamation points. Unfair to the T. And the reason though, a lot of people, especially the less educated, the non-college educated, not just whites, just people in general that have been left behind by this economy, that have been told for decades now, especially the last couple decades, by politicians on every side, that this is your lot in life. You don't live in this country, or you don't live in California or New York. You don't have this high-paying job because of this. You don't have an education, so you're stupid. Oh, you have this belief, you're racist, you're sexist, you're this, you're that, or you're the other thing.
It's just stigmas.
And instead of looking at people again as humans, and allowing people to express themselves and thoughtfully challenging. When you hear bad rhetoric, when you hear someone say something that's truly distasteful and negative, you can actually approach that person and speak respectfully in the right tones. I have never ever felt pressure to not speak about politics or religion. That is a saying. It's very important saying that is pretty much the start of our political correctness, is do not talk about politics and religion. And in doing so, we prevent ourselves from being honest with one another.
Well, the morals of a lot of the legal system and the political system, they all come based off of religion. A lot of the morals that are across, in our world today that we use every day in America come from religion, come from Christianity, that main branch, which No,
it's three Judeo-Christian and Islam. They all come from the same religion, and and I think that part of that is because of the spirituality of humans. We always strive to know what we are and who we are and why we're here and all the things and all the questions that have been asked for millennia. And those are some of the questions that hopefully we will have excerpts on that are just very interesting people that will have different, interesting perspectives on these kinds of subjects, because these are the questions that should be asked and that should be talked about and should be debated respectfully between people. We should have, and on college campuses, this is where it starts. Truly, it starts with our parents. It starts with how we conversate with each other, sure. But college is where we go to define ourselves, to express ourselves, to feel what it's like to be a fully responsible, respected human in this society. And when we get out of a place like that, when we're put into a bubble, and this is what we're told to think and how to think, and then we get out into the world.
It affects society.
It does. It affects society in a huge way. And now we have this viewpoint, and then the world doesn't have that same viewpoint. We think it does, and we want it to when we were taught that. And so we, instead of going to the places and trying to expand our worldview and then change the worldview in a positive way so that we can come to an understanding with different people, we instead look around at those around us that don't agree with our bubble, and we shut down and we shut them off and we disrespect them because we don't even listen to them. And because of that, we have done this habitually time and time and time again. And I'm not even blaming just liberals. I'm blaming everybody. We are all responsible for this. The human race is responsible. There are few people, especially at the top of this pyramid, the massive multinational banks, those kind of shady families that we don't really need to talk about what they want to call Illuminati. But exactly, they have no. It doesn't matter what the name is. It doesn't matter what kind of popular conspiracy you ascribe to. There are just families. There is a small amount of people. Exactly, the Federal Reserve. Exactly, that's the real Federal Reserve Banks. That's the Federal Reserve Bank. And the whole point that I'm trying to make here is that within this society, with this small group of people that have manipulated and controlled the masses for millennia. It hasn't just happened recently, it's been millennia, but it's been increased since the Federal Reserve came into power in 1913, increased further in the 1980s when they deregulated all the banks and the wealth transfer from the have-nots to the haves has been the biggest in history, in modern American history. And now we have a country where people are struggling to put food on the table for their children, where our education system and our schools, our public school system is failing, where our entertainment is completely skewed to our news is entertainment. It is literally shouting matches. It's a bunch of false prophets is the one way to really describe it. We don't have true leaders.
There is no truth. Truth has been
fake news.
Out. It's fake news.
Oh God, it's all fake news. Or not all of it. There are still good journalists, but in reality, there's been so many. Just think about this. Here. Let me give you an example. After a presidential debate, where does everyone go to? So, if you know this, you can say that.
To the news.
No. What? No. Where do the candidates and where do the candidates' handlers go out to? After the debate, the post-debate room. What's that called? The spin room.
Spin room.
It's literally called the spin room. Right after we have a debate between the candidates to run our country, them and their representatives go to the media to spin their viewpoint on how the night's events went. And we, as a people, allow it. And that's where we need to change things. And to change those kind of things, it starts with the colleges. It starts with the young people. It starts with those that are active and energized and have the passion to change things. It is much harder for an older population to overthrow any government, to create a real change.
Well, it's not the fact that you want to, nobody wants to overthrow government. The government of the United States was set up by the Founding Fathers to be a very strict system that, if followed correctly, could actually work. You know what I mean? Yeah. To some extent. But it's been so polluted and fucked with, and just so much shit has been thrown into that fan that it's just like, it's a clusterfuck. That's all I can say now. So many bills have been passed that go against the Constitution. So many shady shit, so much shady shit has happened in the last, 50 years in the United States since the 1960s. I mean, you hear Project MK Ultra and stuff like that. That shit is nuts, dude.
There's a lot of things that
and stuff that time passes and people just say, oh well, that's really serious. I mean, everybody says, oh, 9/11 could be inside job, or a majority of people, believe that these days. And that's some conspiracy. It could be a conspiracy, but things are just opening up. There's more and more things that just show that the cost, the price of life has depleted. Definitely,
the experience in life.
Corporations have become massive monsters that control the news for real, man. I feel like
here I can give you a stat. 5 news organizations own over 93% of the news organizations in America.
And what are those 5?
Fox, CNN, the MSNBC, CBS. Actually, that might be it is NBC, CBS, and ABC.
Yeah.
That's 5. And then
5.
there's a few more around the world, like Al Jazeera and Russia Today. And yeah, they all have their own spin. There's very little distinguished, unbiased
kind of like we're
journalism.
talking in
Because everything's a spin now.
Right, and it's become
Everything's
kind of like
a show.
It's become like this professional thing. You know what I mean? Where it's a guy sitting at the desk reading the teleprompter.
Jazz hands.
Sitting at the teleprompter, you know, just reading off a goddamn screen, whatever's on the screen. You know what I mean? I mean, he didn't
They're
write
actors.
that.
They're actors. They're actors.
actors.
Obama is an actor.
Yeah, of course. So is Donald Trump. He's a public figure.
Exactly. So was George W. Bush. So was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton actually had some intelligence to him, but he was absolutely an actor. These guys are basically told what to do. They have power, but they have a real lack of will to really affect the real change. These men do not stand up to the powers that be, and they do not stand up for what's right, even if it's politically poor to choose a certain path. They do not go the route of Lincoln, go the route of George Washington, go the route of standing up for what's right, of the founding fathers. Exactly. Yeah, the founding fathers. The Constitution was one of the most. Is the most amazing document any group of humans has ever created. And while it's not perfect, while the men that made it were certainly flawed, they were definitely not perfect. What they did and what they created, the country they created, is a living, breathing document. You know, that gave us all the ability to sit here and say, Barack Obama's not a good president, Donald Trump's an idiot, and not get shot for it. And not be thrown in a jail cell and tortured, and have our families for 3 generations, hashtag North Korea, get thrown into concentration camps because we did something against them, against the ruling family. We don't have a monarchy. We have a democracy, powerful system.
But I feel like, okay, the monarch no longer exists.
It's a republic.
It's a republic. But the monarch no longer exists. The corporations have replaced the monarchy. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? And it's become a game almost. I mean, it's terrible to say life is like a game, but literally, I mean, the general population wakes up, you know, takes care of their kids, drops them off at school, goes to work, works their, 8-hour job for their wage, gets paid, is living paycheck to paycheck, literally slaves to corporations.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it. Like, people are, every dime is going into, not even, private business owners' hands anymore. Not even people giving to other people in order for those people to survive for the products or the services that they are giving. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I feel like, a lot of these, major corporations are really sucking what's the word I could use? The
life.
The preciousness, the energy, the energy of, positive trade, of positive giving, you know what I mean, of exchange.
Transfers of energy.
Exchange of money these days is a fucking joke. It just goes and it comes and it flows like water, and it's not helping anything. It's just going to these major corporations that are just recycling to get more and more successful when they're not I mean, sure, they employ, hundreds of thousands of people, but, I mean, they're not benefiting people. They're just letting people almost be like rats, like slaves, just to work to keep this machine going.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm looking out right now. If anyone's noticing, I see you, baby. If anyone's noticing me looking off screen, there's a spider that just caught a big bug. It's literally right there, and it was dragonfly. You see that bug?
Oh shit!
Yeah, dude, this spider in it was doing battle for the last pretty much since this podcast has started. So I've been watching this entire time while we're talking about life and society. I've literally watched a giant bug get taken down by a super small spider that laid the right web.
Nice.
I think that's a pretty cool metaphor for life. For first of all, baby, I'll kill the spider. Don't worry. But in all reality, we have this amazing power. We have this strength, this vitality that is blessed within all of us, that is granted to us the day we are born.
Masters of
and
this
the energy,
yes, we create
the energy that is given to us, our birthright, is this power. And I'm not talking about everyone being rich and famous and doing all kinds of crazy things. I'm talking about the power we have to create the positive world we want to live in.
And grow as a race completely.
And we're getting trapped by tiny little spiders that just lay the right webs and lay the right traps. And then we get caught, and then we're struggling, because this bug is genuinely 4 or 5 times at least the size of this spider. It's huge. It's a huge difference. But this spider, because it knows what it's doing, it lays a trap. And then we hit that trap, and then we struggle, and we get another job, and we get a second job, and then we think we're gonna move up in this job, and we're just putting food on the table. And then I'm watching and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and all of a sudden Trump's president.
Damn.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Where's the pills that I was given by that doctor that gets paid a bonus to prescribe me pills that I don't need from a pharmaceutical company that doesn't give a shit about healing me, but that only wants to steal my soul?
That's real.
And beyond, yeah, we like to have fun here.
Yeah.
Just take everything with a grain of salt. You know, we're on a very serious track here, but we want to remind you that light is life, and our life is light. Is what I meant to say. And you know, we want to create these serious situations. We want to have these serious conversations, but we want to do it in a respectful, genuine way. And you know, I think that it's interesting. I've only been to the University of Life. I'm a Rhodes Scholar. I'll let you guys chew on that for a second. And I say that with a tongue in cheek, because I never fit into the typical college lifestyle. I love people, I love meeting, I love growing, but I was very disappointed when I went to college. My personal experience, and I'm sure you can touch on yours here in just a minute, my personal experience was...
See, I enjoy college, actually.
Yeah, no,
I really do.
It's a fun experience.
It's a fun experience. It's the route I'm taking. I mean, I'm a second year right now, but I'm still gonna go the college route. You know, I appreciate. I mean, I'm a marketing major. I love it. I love learning about, you know, advertising and getting information out. You know, college is great.
Knowledge is incredible. And acquiring knowledge is fantastic. Here, now I'll just tell you a story of why I left college. I was in a political science, the 101 class here at Sydney University College, and it was the professor was a gentleman who was the nephew of the Shah of Iran. His name was Qajar. I can't remember the rest of his name, but that was the royal name, and he was a nephew. We confirmed through Google. He actually admitted to it, and he came over from Iran in 1979 and 1980 when they had their revolution. And so, just to give a little background on, and this is one of the things that I talk about shapes my worldview personally. Iran was a democracy in the 1950s. In 1953, they had recently elected a doctor, Dr. Nassib, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but a doctor, a very intelligent man, who at the time wanted to nationalize their oil, and told the Western companies that had put in oil pipelines, that had arrangements with the previous monarchy, that you know what, you're going to pay us more money, and the money's going to go to building up Iran, and you wanted to give it to the people of Iran. You didn't want to give a share to everyone. The oil executives came home, including one of my best friends, Jackson, who you guys will definitely see a lot of on this stream. His grandfather came home with the rest of them. They told the government, we need to get rid of this guy. He's not going to give us our oil. He's not going to give us what we want.
Wow.
The CIA and MI6 set up a web, and they created a
sting operation.
No, it was literally, they overthrew the government. It was one of the first times they ever succeeded in creating a peaceful protest and organized a coup that reinstalled the Shah of Iran, who then proceeded to give all the oil to the Western companies at the prices they wanted. He killed 70,000 of his own people and tortured over 100,000 more in his prisons, completely shut down the freedom of movement in his own society to corrupt the economy and corrupt their government.
Wow.
And so they went from a peaceful democracy that was about to flourish, or could have taken any route. We don't know. We never gave them the chance.
Just dive bombing into
because we took the CIA, which there will be a pattern, and we will go over this pattern many times, took over this country, installed a leader that we were okay, a dictator that we were okay with, that repressed the freedoms of others so that we could have our oil, and then sold it to the American people like we did, everything was good, and that we got rid of communists and socialists and all these scary boogeymen that were under all of our beds. In 1979, my teacher's uncle, the Shah, was overthrown in the revolution that we all know. This is why Iran hates us, because we have freedom and we have democracy, and America has Uncle Sam, and we want you to be the best, and all these accents and great wonderful things, and Hollywood and beautiful chicks and fucking bikinis, and these Muslims can't do all this bullshit that really, if people came into our country, America, United States of America, and forced a coup and overthrew our government, and we figured it out, we found that out, and we took our country back, do you think we would like that country that had enslaved us? No. Would we like that country that dragged out your friend, that dragged out your sister, that dragged out your uncle into the streets, that shot them in the streets, that tortured them in prisons, that took innocent children and killed them? No, we would not be at all okay with it. I know that most of this country would stand up and say, "Fuck you! That. We're going to war. We're going to defend our rights," and as we should, as humans should. So that's Iran. That's Iran's story. So this gentleman comes over and he starts teaching, and he's a liberal. He's a very much an elitist liberal. And we had interesting discussions in his class. I had just come back from Australia that I lived in 11 months. I had been part of Occupy Wall Street. I was really all about learning and growing and exploring college in the way that you could express yourself and learn. Like you've talked about how joyful it is for you. Right. And so I joined a couple poli-sci classes, and we never got into real discussions. He would always just paint the Republicans as the most evil people on the planet. Never want to say anything negative about Democrats. It sounds like as someone liberal. Exactly, as someone, and his classroom fostered zero debate. He was right, you were wrong. And if you were making good points and you were challenging him enough, he would say, "Let's go have coffee." That's something to go have coffee. I don't want to derail the class for our one-on-one conversation, which I totally respected, and that was pretty respectable. Yeah, that is cool. That's cool. Except for when I went to him 3 different times to ask him to go to coffee, he said no every single time. So he shut me down, low-key disrespected me and others. It wasn't just me. Said no to going to coffee when I was just desperate to learn and listen to this guy and grow and figure out and find out. Even though I knew he was arrogant, it didn't matter to me. I wanted to learn knowledge. Well,
couldn't you have gone and visited him at office hours, or was he still...
No, I would ask him after class, like, can we go get some coffee sometime? And he rejected it multiple times in ways that it wasn't like, oh, yeah, here,
was he a known professor to go get, coffee with the students, or
I think to liberal ones.
There you go. See, yeah.
On some real, I'm not a conservative at all.
So that's
he
where you felt fucked up.
If he had been a far right, or not even far right, if he'd just been a conservative professor that did the same thing, that painted Republicans as unicorns and daisies and kings on the mountain, and that the liberal Democrats were just ugly, hideous orcs.
I feel like the only legitimate poli-sci teacher that would be straight up would be a completely neutral, independent.
Yeah, you got
that would be the only that's non-biased way to teach poli-sci is if you saw it completely neutral, black or white.
Well, that's the thing. Or allow for nuanced gray, and allow that you can have your own personal opinions, but you can talk and just discuss everyone's opinion respectfully the same way. That's pretty much like an independent. You can have your own view, but you can still let these kids learn and grow rather than shutting them down. So one day we kind of came to a head after the midterms, and he was talking about how Richard Nixon had said because he's the president, it's constitutional, all the illegal things he did. It's honestly, for me, one of the most awful statements in human history. Good Lord, what a terrible statement. Because I'm the president, it's constitutional. That is terrible.
That's horrible.
That's horrific.
That's the worst thing you can say.
That's just, oh my God. And we're a very progressive podcast. What you're hearing, that crinkle, is it's the leprechaun's glory.
It's medicine, bro.
It is medicine. It's medicine for you and for many other people. talking about marijuana. We're just gonna put it out there. He's rolling a J. It's gonna be great for him. And so he says this line. He's talking about how terrible Nixon is, and I naturally, because I know that George Bush, and I said this in this class, that George Bush had completely disregarded the Constitution, torn it up, torn up the Bill of Rights. But Barack Obama had recently put into, the year before, had signed into law with a Republican House supporting and the Democratic Senate signing on as well, that the National Defense Authorization Act, that basically was the budget for the military to get paid, but in it put the fact now American citizens could be tortured. We could be arrested in our own homes, not be charged with a crime, and taken to secret sites, both here in America and elsewhere. Be shot in our homes, be shot on sight, in front of our families, never have to tell our families anything about us. All they have to say is that we are suspected of terrorism, and secret courts can convict us. That's it. We don't have a right to.
And you're legit about this. What is this called?
It's National Defense Authorization Act.
National Defense Authorization Act. I have to look at this shit for myself.
And with this National Defense Authorization Act, that codified everything that Bush had started, and with the Patriot Act and all the shady things they did, because in the name of protecting America's liberty. I talked about this, and he said, and how is it okay that Obama's doing this? And he said, yeah, because Obama's doing it quietly. That was his response to the class, was the difference between Nixon and Obama, and what made Obama okay is because he did it quietly. And everyone in the class was like, what? Like, it was one of the few times where he truly slipped up in a way that everyone was like, whoa. And people started laughing. And he immediately was like, whoa, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I see your point. And just because we have a nice guy in office right now that won't abuse these laws doesn't mean that we won't elect another person that will take advantage of a far less, a far worse person. And I said, oh, interesting. Yeah, I actually agree with you. Rand Paul had just recently talked about this and about this exact subject, about the Constitution, and how someone else could take advantage of these terrible laws. And then Hitler. This is literally the thing. And I said, and just like how Hitler got elected democratically in Germany.
Ooh.
And he immediately went, whoa, now you're just lying. You can't just bring up Hitler. Conservatives always just bring up Hitler. And I was like, whoa, what am I lying about? And that immediately got upset, because I was already annoyed with this dude for the whole semester, and him calling me a liar in front of a class full of 110 people, it wasn't even humiliating. I never felt humiliating that he was trying to. I just immediately I felt so disrespected, especially because it was such a genuine fact. You want to talk about fake news? This is literally in my poli-sci class, that Hitler was not democratically elected. He may have overthrown the chancellor in a coup and became the Führer afterwards, but he was elected with 33% of the vote by the German people. That's a fact of life and history, and it's something that we should be aware of. And so we got into a really bad argument. I don't need to get into the rest of it, but it was negative. I didn't handle myself well. He certainly did not handle himself well. It was very disrespectful and very. Oh yeah, he was absolutely.
He was done.
And no, he's a prick. But the bottom line was the irony of me getting kicked out. That was my last day in class. That was my last day in city college.
Well, the thing is, how many people around in that class have you spoke to that
actually 7 or 8 people
that also think he's a prick?
Oh, every person that came up to me, that I had random people
like if you got a general consensus of any student at Santa Barbara City College and asked them, what do you think of this professor? What do you think that
I've had 2 people in 4 years. It's a very rough poll. Of everyone that has known who that guy was, 2 people have said he was a good dude, but he was arrogant. Everyone else has said he was just an arrogant prick. That he had a lot of knowledge, but he was an arrogant prick. I had a lot of people come up to me and actually be like, randomly, hey man.
How long has he been teaching?
Oh, for 2 decades.
2 decades. See, I mean...
Well, here, let me finish off. I just think it's ironic, Mr. Kajar, or Doctor, whatever the fuck your shit is. I think it's super ironic that you kicked me out of the class, and the exact argument that I fucked you on was, oh yeah, just because you have a nice guy not taking advantage of the laws right now, Obama, doesn't mean we won't elect a worse guy that could take advantage of these laws. Trump. Oh. So fuck you. And that's very immature and lame of me. Whatever. I think it's hilarious because you know what? I called it, and this is what scares me because Trump now has all these laws, all this power that we, America, our citizens, have allowed our politicians to give to the president, to the executive branch of our three branches of our republic. And now we have a fucking sociopath in our government, leading our government. And it does not feel good to say, I told you so. But that experience, unfortunately, colored me deeply against college and against that experience, and that is something that I want to prevent.
I wouldn't like go against college just for that one experience.
Oh no, I wouldn't. But I mean, like, no, it's the. But see, that's the thing. Look at how many places like Evergreen College in Oregon, where they're protesting a very progressive professor, one of their own.
This is because I look at universities.
They've taken this too far.
I look at universities kind of like I look at a business. You know what I mean? They're very selective of who they're going to want as their alumni. They're very, they all have what they're good for. They all have their perks, their pros and their cons. And like SBCC, I think it's vote number one community college in the nation. Right?
It actually was for the first time when I was there.
Wow. So I mean, that's a good school, it really is. But I mean, you can't just like go off of one school.
Oh no. And I understand that I am biased. That is a bias of mine.
Right.
But I also understand that what I've seen has been systemic of the.
Like shit, I might just take a couple poli-sci classes.
Just do it. Check it out.
No, I definitely am, but like, maybe two of like. I might definitely just continue taking it just to see the different professors that I speak to, just to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I had two of them. They were both dickheads.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, and it's just two. But like again, my point is being proven time and time again right now, because this is not just a right versus left thing. This is for someone, me, who was trying to become was an independent human that just was a student trying to learn that this is not experience that I'm just feeling. This is all over. There's a reason why it's in the Wall Street Journal right now about how discourse. Harvard. Okay, so there's a Johns Hopkins University of Maryland has put together in the last 2 years a composite ranking of 106 universities, top universities, Yale, Harvard, Berkeley, all over the country, and their level of discourse and their level of right to left and everything in between.
What was Harvard's?
Harvard was 103.
Jesus.
Harvard was 103rd out of 106 universities in this.
Left?
Yeah, because it's not just like the left to the right. It's the level of discourse. Right. So I'm sure there were some very far right conservative universities, but the very large majority was liberal political bubbles, political correct bubbles, and safe spaces. And Yale was 97th. Cal Berkeley was 105.
Wow.
And the University of Chicago was number 1. They have the highest level of discourse. They intentionally hire and promote professors from all sides of the spectrum. They promote debates on campus. They allow for discussion. They encourage it. And this kind of education, that style of educating is so much more valuable to both humans, or kids, and to the professors and the academia as a whole, because it constantly you have to ask questions, you have to ask yourself questions, you have to answer questions about your beliefs, about what you have to say, why you say the things you say, and when you do that, you grow. It forces you to grow and to experience in a new, different way.
Hello.
So how we can change this. That is a difficult question. It's the billion-dollar question. It's the reason why we're talking about this. Why we're going to have more people on here to discuss this. How can we change?
By getting information out to the public. That's first. Just like anything, you need to advertise. You need to get information out, and true information. At that. But and then you have to catch people's attention at that. You know what I mean? And then get a younger group, the younger crowd, the new, the generations to come, the future, to really understand and look at that. And right now, our generation, well, especially my generation. I mean, I'm a new millennial. I'm 20 years old. Like, my generation is so lost. we don't know what we want to do. You know what I mean? I mean, I ask
There's no guidance.
like a majority of. I mean, of course. I mean, I live in Goleta, right there on the UCSB campus, where you got incredible, awesome students, that are really absorbing information, like including myself. It's amazing to see some people there that really get that benefit from learning. But a lot of of Americans, especially the younger generation of Americans, they're stuck. They're hella stuck.
Yeah.
They they wake up, they watch their goddamn TV show. They don't know anything about health. They don't know anything about and California is different. Out here we're kind of different. We have things to do. We can go surf. We can go. It's kind of like it's kind of a weird free state. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of places in the United States. Especially like inner city areas where they don't. Anywhere, just where people don't have the opportunities that people have in heavily populated areas or areas that have high income. You know what I mean? And I know that's a huge thing, since the beginning of economic.
Well, that's why there's such a huge opioid crisis and drug crisis that's rolling in our country.
It's ridiculous. They have nothing to do,
and the guidance isn't there, and that's where we need to promote this knowledge.
The heroin epidemics all across California, how I've seen it affect, several students just in Santa Barbara, alone. I mean, there's so many people dying, man. It's really
sad.
Fucked
and
up.
We need to step in as a society and accept responsibility for what we're doing and to start changing
people
the way
just need to get information. You need to be put on a direction that's going to benefit people together. People are listening to the fucking stupid ass rappers these days. They're just and I fucking love hip hop music. I love the culture and stuff. It's cool because it's like a stigma that's been placed in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I feel like when I look at it from a third person perspective, I look at it and it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? You hear what, I even talk about with my homies when I'm face to face with a lot of my dude friends that are, we're just fucking shooting the shit and doing our thing. I say some pretty fucked up things, when you're just not thinking, when you're, faded at a party or something. And, you look around you and the way that, dudes are treating women, the way that dudes are talking to each other, the way that just people are treating each other in today's younger generation in society, it's just fucked, man. It's it's ass backwards. There's no love, there's no loyalty, there's no respect to each other. It's like a rat race of what can I get out of a person and and how are they going to help me? And it's not how am I going to benefit this person to benefit me in order to get something bigger than what I
How
can.
am I going to grow with this person?
People when people get together and plant a goddamn tree and more than one person harvests that tree, it's going to grow really fucking well. Anything like that. If you build a house, one person's not going to build a goddamn skyscraper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all have to work together. We are all the architects in our own lives, but we still need builders to build the things that we want.
Exactly.
We need people to help us achieve the dreams, and we, as a society, can do that with each other. And it starts as simply as listening to one another, forgiving each other for having these opinions, or doing things, not having just opinions, doing things that hurt one another. Because everything you said right there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's in these little actions, taking responsibility, listening, respecting, forgiving, and in these ways we can create a genuine different level of discourse that grows, that builds everything. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to do this. I'm really excited to have you helping, and this is gonna be a thrilling journey.
Dude, we covered a lot of ground. We just covered a lot of topics right there.
We did.
You picked my brain a little bit. I mean, I was just chilling, just listening, and hopefully, some of this info got to you guys. Kind of, we're just speaking our minds, kind of just chilling, stoned after studying, hanging out.
I'm not smoking.
Yeah, just chilling. But let us know what you think in the comments below if you like it. And we're definitely be pumping out a lot more.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna be doing this a lot. He's gonna be traveling, but when he gets back, we're gonna have stuff going all the time. I'm gonna be recording videos even on my own. Awesome. And so just for my final point for this first podcast, our society suffers when our institutions of learning become bubbles that prevent the growth of the students that it's supposed to help the most. And when their development is stunted, it hurts both them and our society. Safe spaces create bubbles that promote groupthink, and that irregardless of tribe, it is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. And with this knowledge, with this understanding, with this new level or new way of communicating to one another, and this new openness to both ourselves and the world around us, not just the people, but the energies of the universe that we allow into us, we can grow, we can build something better, and we can have some amazing times that hopefully will feel like sex for the soul. So my name is James. Thank you for tuning in.
My name's Aaron.
And we're gonna have tons of stuff, and support us by actually don't even forget subscribe, comment, all that cool. But really support us by supporting yourselves, by affecting change in your day-to-day lives, your day-to-day routines, in the ways that you interact with others. Maybe just listen to someone a little bit deeper. Maybe ask for forgiveness, or maybe forgive someone for something that they do to you, something small, something that hurts, but you know what? You're alive, you're going to be okay. And even if you don't interact with that person anymore, at least you gave them that respect of listening. At least you forgave them, and that will help you move forward, irregardless of how they take it and what they do with it. And perhaps we can start spreading this energy, spreading this change through our society, through this country, and around the world. So thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.